Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bullhucker podcast. I'm Moose Lundstrom.
And I am Dotsie Akudran.
And we are in Bullhucker studio at the Brush Emporium in Brush, Colorado.
We are. It's beautiful.
Yeah, what's going on, Dents?
Hey, not much. Just live and laugh. What are you up to?
I stopped by the liquor store because my Dentsie was here. So
cheers.
Yeah.
You finally came around to drinking on the podcast.
He told me we couldn't be sober friends, so... She goes, I like you, Larry, but if we can't drink,
right,
we can't hang.
This friendship just doesn't feel right when we're sober.
Yeah, she thinks you think I drive my ass down here from Fort Morgan to do a podcast? Yeah. No, not sober anymore, some bitch.
You gotta bribe me. Yes.
You know, we have a guest today.
We do.
And you guys met for the first time today, which kind of shocks me because his brother is married to your best friend.
Yes.
I know, but I felt like we probably did cross sometime.
We were probably at, well, I know we were at the same wedding.
Yeah.
But I don't remember a lot of that wedding.
Me either.
So I know that we didn't. Well, we may have officially met. I don't know, but now we've officially met.
Hello, nice to meet you.
And it's time for you to meet the audience. Ben Blecha, how are you?
I am wonderful.
I want to thank you for coming down from Sterling.
Absolutely. I have been a fan of the Bullhucker for a long time, since you were putting on comedy shows in Sterling.
Oh.
Wow.
And just to get to hear the stories of everybody. I'm a huge storyteller,
right?
As you know,
yes.
With my brother, that's a family thing, and to be able to now get to tell my stories,
right?
And sober friends, that's one of my stories. There's some friends that I cannot have. If I'm not sober. So I totally get this dynamic right here.
It's a thing. So did you listen to your brother's podcast?
I did listen to my brother's.
Did you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Which one? Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah. Although we went through a stage when he was really heavy in synthetic elements where we didn't talk a lot.
Because
he was on the road and I'm busy as the play-by-play guy for Northeastern Junior College. I do more than 200 games a year, so I'm here, there, and everywhere. So our paths didn't cross as much there, but knowing our storytelling style, I knew which one. Yeah.
You're the voice of Northeastern College. Yeah.
Yes, for 15 years. For the last 15 years, I've been the voice of Northeastern Junior College. Among other things, I do high school sports and a lot of other things, but that's what I kind of hang my hat on is the play-by-play voice of one of the premier junior colleges in the entire nation.
So I'd say that in case people are trying to place your voice right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because being on the radio, they don't see what you look like.
Right. Yeah.
But the voice, maybe they're like, who the hell is this?
Do you have a tagline that you say?
I don't have a lot of taglines that I use. When NJC qualifies for nationals, the first time we did in basketball, it's in Hutchinson, Kansas. And so we're going to Hutch, baby. and every time now, volleyball's been in Hutch several times, so I drop that one and I try to work it in. But no, I don't have a specific tagline because, well, I do play-by-play. I'm kind of more of a storyteller. I say I narrate the games I'm at. I don't necessarily give you the play-by-play because there's more than just what's happening with the balls and the bats and the hoop and that kind of thing. There's so much more to that story, and that's one thing that I really do enjoy doing is telling stories of the athletes I get to meet and the community I'm a part of.
Can I suggest a tagline? Blecha out, bitches, and then just throw the microphone. That's what I'm like.
I'm not sure that I could stay employed, but maybe we'll put that one in the coffer for when I do retire.
Until everybody starts like loving it and they see like Blecha out, bitches t-shirts walking around town, and they're like,
"Hey, I just ended up on a t-shirt at Northeastern Junior College for the first time in 15 years."
Really?
Our softball team won the Region 9 championship a couple weeks ago, and one of the dads made the team celebration shirt and had the roster on the back, and I'm on the bottom. Voice of NJC, Ben Blecha. It's the first time in 15 years I've been on one of their shirts.
That's awesome, man.
It was very,
also rude
very
that it
cool.
took that long.
Well,
come on, you're a big deal.
It's one of those things that the longtime Mr. NJC Jack Annan, he was identified as the guy, everybody knew him. And it was the guy that was there, and it took a long time for him to get the accolades that he did. So I've kind of accepted the fact that, being a part of an institution like that, it's about the institution first, and my name comes through second. But yes, my voice is everywhere up there.
So Ben, we have actually a different connection. I think you forgot about because we had
Oh
talked a
no,
long time.
I have the connection. It's in my first story as well.
Oh, he is.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, maybe I don't remember.
Is it Pierre Carrillo?
Yes. Yes.
Pierre.
Yes.
Oh, tell me the story.
Pueblo, you're from.
Yes.
You,
I'm from Fort Morgan,
but
I went to college in Pueblo.
About what year?
2000 to 2004.
So I worked at Pepper's nightclub.
Yes.
Until 2002. So we probably met each other
We did.
there.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we, as Rev 89, the college station down there, would always do live remotes there, and
Right.
Pierre was one of the guys that would spin on
Right.
Thursday nights. I think was the nights that we came out. I think it was the country nightclub on Tuesdays, the sports bar on Wednesdays, and Peppers on Thursdays.
That is
Kickers.
crazy.
Yeah, kickers.
Yes.
I'm surprised either of you are admitting to living in Pueblo.
Oh man.
Pueblo was truthfully the best 4 years of my life.
Yeah.
That's what this guy says too. You love your time in Pueblo.
I loved my time in Pueblo. I had a
Yes.
great time. It's funny, Ben, when I go back, I never was worried about Pueblo, but now
Right.
I'm a little sketchy to be there. I don't know,
yeah.
because I lived in a small town again, and I've got a little older. So
Yeah.
I a quick story, and I've told this before on the podcast.
Yeah.
I have older family here, so when they go, I'll be the only one here. I have family in Pueblo, brothers and sisters. So I thought to myself, when I retire, maybe I'll sell my house, move to Pueblo, right? I go to Easter back in 2022, hang out with the family, nieces and nephews. It's cool to see them. I don't get to see them hardly at all. They barely know me. It kind of sucks, but I think to myself, maybe when I tell my little brother who I'm close to, I thought about moving back. He goes, man, I really wish you would. I said, well, So I go back to the hotel because I like to be away from people. Like
Yeah.
I have my fill of people, then I have to be away. Because my sister's like, you should stay here. I'm like, I love you, but
No.
I'll choke you in your sleep. Anyway, I go to the hotel and I'm thinking to myself, Pueblo's not so bad. I miss it, and there's bigger. I wake up the next day, my truck, the gas tank is open. They've siphoned all my gas out, and I'm like, oh, that's right, Pueblo, you're fucking ghetto, and I hate you.
Was there honky lips written on the side of your truck?
No, but they left me enough to use the gas station. Not because the thugs in Pueblo wanted me to get to the gas station, because they ran out of room in their gas can.
Right.
That's what happened there.
That
But,
was so nice of you.
yeah. But that's my Pueblo, and I still might. Who knows? I don't know.
It was a situation, and truly, I think part of my love for Pueblo was because it was my college years.
Sure.
Yes, we lived off campus for 2 years, I think, but it was really, that's the formative years.
Yeah.
And we were part of the group that transitioned it from USC to now CSU Pueblo.
Oh, wow.
That
Okay.
I was actually the first graduating class. That was the spring of '04 was the first CSU Pueblo graduating
That's
class.
awesome.
And so it was a little bit different. It was still small school. Now it's getting a little bit bigger. But you find those communities, you find those people, and the few memories I have of Peppers that aren't super fuzzy.
Yeah.
It was really a wonderful piece. So yeah, we've known each other for decades.
Long time, yeah.
Maybe you guys need to do a Peppers reunion.
You laugh, but I thought about it. Marty,
That would be a very, very expensive alcohol. Though.
yes, it would. I don't know. We're getting older now.
Well,
yeah, right?
Yeah. You might Marty Muniz, remember Marty?
Yep.
He's going to do this podcast. He got a hold of me to do some comedy in Greeley, and I'm like, I really don't do it anymore. But I said, if you're coming through Brush, because he lives in Lamar or Rocky Ford, somewhere in southern.
Somewhere, yeah.
I said, if you're coming through Brush, man, you should come do the podcast. Well, we'll make it happen. Marty be great because he's a storyteller too. So
Yes.
come do it, Marty, you son of a bitch. Where did you live in Pueblo?
We lived on Aztec. And that's actually the very first of my stories happened in that apartment complex.
Ooh.
Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and get to the
That's
stories.
what I'm like, let's do it.
All right.
Yes.
I like Pueblo stories. And
Yes.
and my little buddy from Walmart, Ryan, he's from Pueblo. What's up, Ryan? He loves you too.
I love Ryan.
Yeah,
he makes
yeah.
me feel so welcomed when I go into
Nah,
Walmart.
he's
He's
great.
the best.
I call him the animal, man, because his hair he's got that frizzy hair, like that natural curly hair, so he lets it go, man. He's
I love
such
it.
a fro, man. He's
yeah,
good,
he
dude.
does look like that. That's
I
funny.
call him the animal.
Yeah, animal.
You ready to tell some stories?
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
right.
It's called a drunken boxing soiree is the first one.
Do you want to read them all in order?
Yeah, we can go in whatever order after this.
You want to do this one first, though?
Because we'd already started talking about it, so we may as well just tie
Okay.
it all in.
You want to name them off first?
Okay, so we got a drunken boxing soiree,
Okay.
Kentucky Fried Pigeon,
Okay.
and English is Hard. These are good titles.
So we'll do the first one. I'll
Okay.
pick first, and I'll pick the first one. A drunken boxing soiree.
So the Pueblo time we've already talked about. We always said that Our time in Pueblo was the makings of a big joke. You know, a black guy, a Mexican, a rocker, and a hippie walk into a bar, and I'm not kidding. That was the four of us,
right?
That were always around there. I was the hippie.
I was gonna say, what were you?
Yeah, I was the hippie. I looked like Jesus. Always a tie-dyed shirt. Always tore up jeans.
He's obviously the Mexican. He's obviously the black guy. Which one is he? Come on.
No, I had long hair. And working at Rev 89, we put on several remotes, and it was always the running joke that someone would come up to me, some little child, and ask me if I was Jesus. And I was far from Jesus in Pueblo.
Right,
you know, please do not idolize me, child.
Right. Pueblo's very Hispanic, so very Catholic.
Yes.
So
and I was not. And so we had a lot of great stories, great times there. This one happened in it was either June or July of 2002 or 3. It was based around boxing. Okay, so I'm a huge boxing fan. And UFC. I like fight sports. I like the man-to-man combat. And so we needed a reason to get together in Pueblo. And so Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward had that epic trilogy. And I think it was the second round in that trilogy that was on pay-per-view. So we decide, my buddy Mikey, who is the Mexican in the group of four, the two of us had the apartment on Aztec. And
what's up, Mikey? By the way, what's up, Mikey?
It is actually the real name because I believe we have gone beyond the statute of limitations for any crimes that actually commit.
You don't have to make it up.
And so we decided we were going to host a party for the Arturo Gatti Mickey Ward pay-per-view. And you know, it's going to be 20 of us or whatever get together. It was a 2-bedroom apartment that was there. Needless to say, we have never gotten the deposit back on that apartment, nor should we have. Because of this night. This was the worst of all the nights. We had these boxing or wrestling pay-per-views when WrestleMania was there. Our house was the place to be because you know we were partying, and so it was around Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward's second fight. And we decided, because it's a Saturday, we've been out drinking Friday and Thursday and Wednesday. And we haven't sobered up because it's the summer. We're not in class right now. We haven't sobered up for probably about 2.5 weeks at this point.
Nice.
And so we decided to start that day, and we went and got at the King Supers down the road, we went and got a bunch of burgers, and someone had brought over this charcoal grill, and I'm smashed at this point. It's like 3 p.m. The pay-per-view doesn't start until like 8 o'clock, and I am completely smashed. And I'm like, oh, I know how to grill. I'm an Eagle Scout. I can do this. And so we go and we get some lighter fluid and get it on the charcoal, and I'm throwing matches in there, and it's not lighting. And I'm like, why is it? So screw it. Go inside, think about it for a little bit, and if people start arriving. Now, we've only invited about 20 people
in Pueblo.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, the people start walking in our door with boxes of liquor, cardboard. I don't know these people, but somehow they've heard of this party. And fortunately, we overbought the food because we were like, well, screw it, we can eat these burgers or hot dogs or whatever for meals throughout the summer. And so I go back outside. I'm like, there's about 40 people in our apartment now, so we need to start getting some food so that we're there. And so I throw another match in there, and it won't light. And finally, one of these drunk guys that showed up with a box of liquor comes outside, and have you opened up the bottom? I'm like, what? He goes under and he opens it up. Try it now. And I throw it, and boom, to the second story of this apartment, big flame, because I'd had all of this lighter fluid.
Sure.
And so, there was forever a burned. I mean, it's still there to this day. I actually drove down the last time I was there. You can still see the burn mark from.
Wow.
I'm surprised there wasn't more damage.
Oh, this is just the beginning.
Oh,
the sun's not even down yet at this point. So we've got the burgers going. And we are enjoying ourselves, and the boxing pay-per-view starts with the pre-fights, and more people just keep coming in. I swear to God, we had like 150 people in this apartment at this point. And because I look like Jesus, one of my favorite party tricks in college was to take a bottle of water and turn it into wine
Yeah.
with my college crux, Jägermeister.
Ugh.
So yes, there's there are plenty of water to wine because I look like Jesus at this point,
right.
turning water into Jägermeister, and it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. And I'm, of course, I'm a huge boxing fan, so I'm still somewhat interested, even in my inebriated state, in the pay-per-view and the fights that are on this card.
Right.
And so they get to the fight. And, everything is done and cool. Then we crank on the music because we were the DJs on the hip-hop radio station, one of only 2 hip-hop radio stations in Colorado at that time.
Right.
So we've got all the newest tracks, and we're dropping those. And this runs past midnight. And at one point, I am so obliterated that I decide that I'm going to go into my bedroom and pass out.
Good. Yeah, go to bed.
Because I've been drinking clearly since before noon, and it's after midnight.
I like the fact you say it was your choice.
Yeah. Well, okay.
So I made the really smart decision.
See, I can claim that decision because I was not in a relationship at the time, so there was not a woman to tell me to go sleep.
Oh, I'm just saying, but there's science that told you.
There was science.
A blood alcohol level that said you're done, son.
That was not good.
Exactly.
Well, apparently, and because I'm passed out at this point, following this, my roommate, Mikey's girlfriend, and he get into a fight. Ugh. And she leaves, drives off, gone. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning to my phone ringing, and it's her. And she is a sobbing mess. She has no idea where she is, and I'm trying to get her to describe where she is for me, so that I can come get her, because she's going to refuse to call him because they got into a fight. Mm-hmm. And so it's my job as the roommate of her boyfriend to go get her, apparently. Yeah. It sounded fine at 4 a.m.
Yeah, the math works out.
Yeah, the math worked
out.
Yeah. And so I come out of my room, and there's a hallway, probably no wider, half as wide as this room. And I walk down the hall, and there is blood smeared on the wall. Nobody else is there. It's just me and my roommate. He's passed out on the couch. Front door's wide open.
Of course.
Air conditioner is blasting at 60 degrees. The thing never worked the remainder of that summer because it froze up. And so then we had to, figure out how to cool the apartment off. And the kitchen floor is the consistency of grape jelly from spilled liquor.
Ugh.
And I walk out front, and our upstairs neighbor, who'd clearly seen the ball of flame from me lighting the grill, is standing outside picking up beer bottles and the remnants of whatever else had been consumed outside our apartment.
Roaches and red solo cups. Yeah.
And he's like, I don't even remember our landlord's name. They're not going to be happy. You got to get this. Okay. I got to go get my roommate's girlfriend.
Right.
She's 3.5 blocks down the street in the parking lot of the King Soopers, and she has no flipping clue where she is.
Oh, my God.
Is this on the south side?
No, this is north side. This is up by the car dealers. By
King Soopers or Cubs?
Or no, it was Albertsons, not King Soopers.
Okay.
It's the Albertsons over there.
Right.
Yeah. North side, as you head out toward Pueblo West.
I was trying to figure out where this Aztec apartment is when you said King Soopers.
Yes.
It threw me, 'cause the other one on the north side's in the mall parking lot.
Yes.
So, okay.
Yeah, no, it was the Albertsons, not the King Soopers. So, see, the alcohol consumption has killed my memory of some of Pueblo. So that is the drunken boxing soiree, and part of the reason why we never got our deposit back on that apartment.
Well, why was there blood on the?
I don't know.
You still don't know.
Because we could piece most of our nights together in Pueblo,
right?
Because between the four of us that would go out to the bars, we usually, under the guise of one of the four of us is staying sober, and we just had to keep track of who we told our girlfriends was sober enough to drive.
Right.
Because this is pre-Uber, again, past the statute of limitations, then we could piece the night together the next morning. Like, okay, what do you remember? Usually breakfast burritos or whatever in our apartment the next morning. We could piece together who was there. But because there were 75 to 100 people. We did not know we never know why there was blood smeared on the wall. I believe there was a fight and someone hit their
I can tell
head.
you that's exactly what it was. It's Pueblo, man.
It's Pueblo.
It's an unsolved murder.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
it's at one point in time someone's going to scrap in Pueblo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where you're drawing straws, like no one's fought yet, so two of us got to get it on. You know what I mean? Am I wrong? I mean,
Yeah, no, that was
the
was
mentality
Pueblo.
is nuts, dude.
It's a different mentality. It definitely is, but it shaped part of who I am today.
Right.
A scrappy motherfucker.
Absolutely, absolutely.
If this ended right now, I'd be happy because I already like all the Pueblo references.
You do love it. I know you do.
Pueblo, like I had the same experiences as you.
Yes.
I lived in the Belmont Square apartments.
Okay. Yes.
And then the Park Terrace apartments over on 50.
Right.
Okay. So
the places that we used to circle around about 4:20 every afternoon.
yes. The Belmont Square apartments. I used to have parties in my apartment, and they're just little apartments, like 2-bedroom, 2-bath, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing. I have pictures of, like, I don't know who people in these pictures are. You know what I mean?
Have a clue.
Yeah, if Marty comes down or one of these guys, I'm like, who is this girl? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why is she stealing my shot glasses? I only got 40 of the goddamn things,
And the parties in Pueblo, it was always, okay, the cops are going to come bust this. So you knew where the other ones were.
Right.
And oftentimes we'd make cycles through, especially during school. We'd start up on campus.
Right.
And then we'd end up, and there were 3 off campus, and we usually wrap up on the one back on campus.
Yeah.
There was one night I remember handing a cop my beer, getting in the car, and going to another party and getting another beer.
Right.
God.
And Pueblo's got a weird mentality. Like it's a kind of, I don't use the word ghetto. I do love Pueblo. As much fun as I make of it.
But it's ghetto.
It's a little home. It's got some ghetto, but it's a really low income town at times, and so the mentality is a little different. But the people are pretty accepting. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like the people from Pueblo are easy to get along with, man. I made a lot of lifelong friends in that town.
Yeah.
To this day that I talk to,
Absolutely.
And a few of them have been on the podcast.
Yeah.
Quite a few of them, actually.
Pueblo would accept a hippie that looked like Jesus as one of their top hip-hop DJs back in 2000. I mean, I did not look the part of a hip-hop DJ. I looked like Jesus in a tie-dyed shirt and tore-up jeans.
You know how many questions I had to answer about Brush, Colorado? Like, do you have indoor plumbing? And these were honestly good questions. Like, they were like, so... Is there a downtown that's paved? Like a paved road? Like, yes, it's paved road. It's indoor plumbing and electricity in every house. Well, almost every house. Some people don't pay their shit, but it was fun. But like
they're close cousins.
Yeah. Hey, whatever you got to do, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
What do you think?
Exactly.
What do you think about that story?
I don't know. I mean, from what you guys are saying about Pueblo, it sounds like maybe it's false because it got way worse.
Yeah.
There actually was a murder.
Right. Well, we were pretty careful, tried to be careful, and some of the people that came in that, you know what I mean? Like, it depended. Sometimes you can't, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, people showing up like that, that's a true story, which I forgot to ask you what kind of story is the Bullhucker, but we're just going to fly without it this time. We're going to figure it out, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go blind here. It's crazy that many people would show up in Pueblo. I mean, I would worry. Like, whenever I had parties in my house, everything I owned that was even remotely valuable got locked up.
Oh, it's my video game system was in my room.
Yes,
the only thing we had out in the main room was the speaker system that we'd actually taken from the radio station and had to return the next morning before our boss found out.
But like somebody's gonna get into your room though too, right? Or was it locked?
For the most part, and that accepting attitude in Pueblo is. They respect that. Hey, you're hosting a party, so we're going to stay to the bathroom, the living room, the kitchen. It's not, we're going to go find a bed. And it's not those movie parties that, you find the closest bed and see what happens.
Right.
So,
but Pueblo was one of my favorite times of my life, man. Yeah. I had a lot of good people.
I have no idea how I graduated with a better than 3.5 GPA. I don't have a clue.
I don't know how I survived.
Exactly.
So
everybody needs to live in Pueblo a little bit in their life.
Shit,
like really, the world would be a different place.
It's a crazy town. By the way, the other hip hop station was in Springs, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, it was before KS 107.5 was KS 107.5.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. All right, Denz, what do you think about that one?
That's a pretty good story. It's a good.
Great
Everybody
story.
loves a good party story.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
How do you not?
Because we all were there. We all, we've all been there in that situation. So.
And I feel like they're not like that anymore.
No. The generation now is just different. And it's not bad different. Mm-hmm. It's just different. They just don't. Not the same mentality as our generation had.
Right.
By any means.
We are the last generation that was I mean, I don't want to call it feral, but we did a modicum of raising ourselves.
Yes.
And I've tried to give that to my kids because I have 4 children. I have a sophomore in high school and a 7th grader and a to-be 4th grader and a nearly 2-year-old now.
Right.
And I try to help them learn some of the lessons, that they need to learn like we did, although maybe without some of the dangers that we
don't want to raise a bunch of pansies.
Yes.
A little bit trusting, too, our generation had to be. I mean, if you met somebody in a bar, you didn't go home and Google them.
No.
Right.
You had to learn about these people, or it was the Wild West.
Living on the wild side.
Yes.
But you know what? I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Agreed.
I wouldn't be 16 years old today to save my soul.
And I hope that the 16-year-olds today get that somehow.
Right.
Whether because they're not going to get the same generation. We didn't have the same upbringing as our parents.
Right.
Yes.
And
they probably said the same shit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I know there was I can't tell you for sure what my parents said for 4 years in college. But
yeah.
I know they weren't thinking pleasant things about some of the things I was doing.
I went to high school in the early 90s, and I tell you what, wake up in a field somewhere after a night on drinking without a little cell phone to tell you where the hell you are.
Right, exactly. But that's the beauty. You didn't have to worry about losing it either.
That's true. That's true. The $800 or $1,000, $1,500 sitting in your pocket. Yeah.
Didn't even have it to lose.
Yeah. All
Win.
right. That was a great story, Ben.
That's a good one.
I'm now excited for the rest of them. So, okay, Dency, that was my pick. So you go ahead and pick the next one. I
think I want to hear English is hard.
Okay.
because I feel like I can relate.
100%. Okay, so as we said, I'm the voice of Northeastern Junior College. And we have not only, a lot of people look at junior college athletics and say, oh, it's high school plus.
Yeah.
Right.
These kids aren't good enough to go play at a 4-year school, but they were the best of their high school, and so they're going to go there. But it's so much more than that. And
Agreed.
I really wish people would come to NJC and see a sporting event.
Yeah.
Because we do have, our volleyball team has been ranked in the national top 20 for 4 consecutive years. Mm-hmm. We have high-level kids that are going on to D1s, men's basketball, or that way. But
I've heard good things about NJC.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's, if you enjoy high school sports, you're definitely going to enjoy NJC.
Awesome.
And, because, one, we do get the local kids, but we also get international kids.
Yes, a ton of international.
Especially since we brought soccer in 2011.
Yeah.
I have covered, over my 15 years at NJC, students in Plainsmen or Plainswomen uniforms from 31 different countries.
Wow.
That's really cool, man.
It's fascinating because on Snapchat, on Facebook, on Instagram, I have friends from literally all over the world, because I don't just cover these athletes to cover them. I cover them to get to know their stories. Like we've talked about, I'm a storyteller. And I love to tell their whole story about where they've come in. Well, these international athletes definitely struggle at times with English, especially in the fall. When athletes like our spring sports, baseball and softball, if we have any international athletes, they've gotten to learn English a little bit better. And the requirements have changed over the last probably 5 years. Mm-hmm. They have to be much more proficient in the language when they come in. But early on, it was like Pueblo, literally the wild, wild west.
Right.
Because at the time, the NJCAA didn't have limitations on number of international athletes you can have and the scholarship money that can go to them. And so there's plenty. I have many stories where English is a hard language for these kids. Mm-hmm. We had an athlete from China on the volleyball team close to a decade ago. And the coach was very big of, when we get on the bus, your cell phone goes in the box. Because when we're on the bus, we're on a business trip. Oh. And so at the time she was there. And I abide by those rules too. Mm-hmm. Look, if I'm going to ride the bus with this team, I am going to follow the same rules.
Oh, good for you. I totally wouldn't do that.
I'm not one of those that whatever they're wanting to do. I want to live their experience. I want to, because as you can tell, I am not physically gifted athletically.
Who are you talking to? Come on.
We're pros.
I never had that opportunity, so it's kind of my way to experience that a little bit. And so the volleyball player from China, she was allowed to keep her phone because this is the fall and she's a freshman. And I think the coach had recruited her in like June. And she had never really learned English. So when the coach says, okay, this, and the coach would have sheets of mental exercises and that kind of thing, she'd have to be able to translate it on her phone.
Yeah.
To be able to understand what she was supposed to be doing and what she was reading. And at the same time, we had a baseball player that came over from China as well, and we'll call him Lou. These athletes get, especially the Oriental athletes, their names are really hard to say.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
And I pride myself in being able to say it the way they say it in their language. I don't know how to spell any athlete's name. I write it phonetically on my score sheet so
That's
that I
smart.
say it right.
That's so smart.
Yes.
Yeah. And I really can't spell their name. Well, the volleyball player, and I believe that the volleyball player and the baseball player came from the same academy. They have sports academies in China, and I believe they came from the same one. And when she came in, nobody could pronounce her name, Yuting.
What was it?
Yuting. Yuiting.
Okay.
And,
Yuting.
and it was, and then her last name was TQI. But nobody could say Yuting.
I would fuck that up every single
Absolutely.
time.
So
Yeah.
the team decided she needed an American name, but she doesn't speak English. She's still learning. And so we're sitting, I feed the volleyball team every year the second Thursday of the season right before the start of their season, just as kind of a way for them to get to know me and me to get to know them. We play this exact game, actually, Two Truths and a Lie,
Nice.
every year when I host my dinner for them. And so we're sitting there and they're trying to figure out what to call her. And one of the girls says, well, I always wanted to name my sister Zoe. And so she was Zoe T the rest of the year.
Oh, perfect.
Even her All-American plaque said Zoe.
Zoe?
Zoeyqi.
That's a
That
great
was
name.
not what I thought. I thought it was going to be some...
No.
Okay.
And,
Super
and,
racial things.
Yes.
No, they did, although the baseball side, so in the spring, I travel with the baseball team. Now, their rules were much more relaxed, and these trips are 4-game trips. We play 2 games on a Saturday, 2 games on a Sunday. We drive in on a Friday. We spend the night in a hotel. Then we head to the field, play a doubleheader Saturday, go get a nice meal Saturday night. Sunday, go play 2 and come home. And because the baseball side of things there's a lot more kids. Volleyball, we hop on a bus. There's 16, 17 athletes, 2 coaches, and me.
Right.
And the baseball side, you carry anywhere from 24 to 35 kids.
Oh.
Because you're playing 4 games. These kids can't throw every game and that kind of thing. And so oftentimes, on volleyball trips, I have my own seat. Basketball trips, I have my own seat. Soccer and baseball, I have to share a seat with an athlete. Well, Lou, the Chinese athlete, was in my seat. And I know on these baseball trips, I've got to eat a big breakfast because we're going to the ballpark for a doubleheader that starts at 1. It's going to be 6:30 or 7 before I can eat again because I don't have time. When I go on air, I go on air.
Right.
And I'm on air until the doubleheader is done. I have some recorded content and that kind of thing. And so I'd already eaten a big breakfast, and the pitcher gets on the bus and he's sharing the row with me, and he sits down. Now, one of the hallmarks of that coach was these foreign athletes, the best way to learn English is to become immersed. Right. That was the way I was taught Spanish in high school. By Spanish 2, my Spanish teacher spoke nothing but Spanish in the classroom, and good flippin' luck.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully you figure it out. And so it was kind of the same thing with him. And he learned the language, and he could very brokenly kind of convey some of the information. And he gets on the bus, and he'd gone to breakfast late and gotten like a banana and one of those yogurts. And he didn't want the yogurt, apparently. And so he turned to me and asked me in Chinese if I wanted the yogurt. And the coach said, Lou, no, English. And because that's one of the hallmarks. You want these kids as a college coach to graduate, and in order to graduate, he has to speak English.
Right.
And so he's, he knows part of the educational piece that he's got to do that. So do you want, and I don't even remember what the word was, but he kept saying this word, and I knew based on context clues, I'm an adult, I can figure it out,
right,
that he means, do you want this yogurt? But he can't say it because he's still learning what vowels say what and
right,
that kind of thing. And the assistant coach who was a very hard individual, probably from a rougher neighborhood, turns around and says, "Lou, it's yogurt. Yogurt. No. Yogurt. Yogurt. Yo.
Yeah.
Yo. Yogurt. Yo. And so every time the rest of the year we were on a road trip, it was always, he'd point to it and go, yo. It was the old school 90s hip hop, yo,
Yeah.
Gert. So and forever, I would try and find a way. One of the fun things I do in my broadcast to amuse myself, because I'm on air for 6.5 hours straight.
I can't even imagine.
Talking to myself.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So I've got to amuse myself somehow. I like to work big words in. I like to work weird country timey phrases in and that kind of thing. And then I always found a way to work Gert every time that he pitched the rest of the season.
Like that guy. Have you seen that guy that does like the weather? And he works in like fake phrases.
Very
and
same
stuff,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, we challenge one another, John Beltran and Bull Brom and I, to work big words or song lyrics or something into our broadcast. And so
hilarious.
English is a hard language. I have many stories of how hard the English language is. You don't even have to be foreign. We had a basketball player about 12, 13 years ago. He got a technical foul. We were in La Junta, Pueblo East. And he got a technical foul in the game. And he turned and was headed to the bench, and the ref comes over to the coach, and the coach says, what did he get teed up for? Antics. And the guy goes, "What the fuck are antics?" And I'm like, okay, he's just, and the coach's like, calm him down. And I heard the coach say, because I'm close enough to the floor, I heard him say, he doesn't know. And I'm like, that's bullshit. Everybody knows.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody. I mean, that's an easy word in the English language.
Antics?
Well, I mean, especially in basketball, like
okay.
it's in the rule book.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Antics is in the basketball rule book. And so we get on the bus after we played that game. I don't even remember if we won or lost. I've covered over 1,300 NJC games.
Wow.
And he goes on, and now mind you, this is like 2010, 2011. So this is like the beginnings of being able to Google things on your phone.
Sure.
And he gets on the bus. Who has a phone? Who can tell me what the fuck antics are? I'm like, he really doesn't know.
I feel like that's a hard word. If you're not familiar with English,
Yeah, okay.
that's what I'm saying. Like, like antics. Like you would think ant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like English is a hard language.
It is
we don't
very
think
hard.
about it if we've always been around it, but totally.
And that same thing, we have a lot of Eastern European volleyball players now.
Yeah.
And so they watch, now that video is more common, they can actually see their children play from halfway around the world.
Sure.
Very cool.
That's
So
awesome.
we pipe my play-by-play across. Well, these kids are just learning English. Now, especially a lot of the Eastern Europeans, it's their home language and English, and usually one more.
Right.
And so you imagine their parents are probably at least somewhat proficient in what I'm saying.
Right.
But I had maybe it was a Serbian a couple of years ago. One of the words I like to work in my broadcast is consternation. Kind of to describe the battle.
Okay.
To force someone to be uncomfortable. That's kind of the common thing in sports. And the mom had misheard and thought I was saying confirmation. And so the daughter
Better than consummation.
well, absolutely. It could be a lot worse.
Constipation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, you get these foreign athletes that come up and they're like, what do you mean by this?
Yes.
Because, and I have to remember that sometimes English is a hard language.
We had an exchange student from Austria a few years ago, and she was in like health class, and they were like working on, could never do her homework. I swear to God, my husband always laughs. He's like, I swear to, I passed this class for Pia. That was her name. So she comes up one night, and she has to kind of do, she says, what does this mean? So she couldn't understand. It would be like if Billy studied really hard for the test and he passed. And but Joey is like jealous, is like, oh, well, you would pass the test because you're a nerd, right? But really what Joey means is like, good for you because you studied hard.
Right.
So she didn't understand like any of that. So she comes up, she's like, so what does this mean? So she's like, so-and-so has a boyfriend or girlfriend, and they actually are talking to this person, but, really it doesn't mean anything. She would have to say what that means. So we were like 2 bottles of wine in, and we were just done with it. So she's like, so we were giving her examples of what all these things mean. So we're about the 6th question in, and my husband goes, well, basically, it means that she's still in love with him but doesn't know how to say it, that type of deal. So how do I say this? And so he's like, well, what you say is, you're so vain. You're so vain. I bet you think this song is about you. Don't you? Don't you? And he's like, don't forget to write don't you twice. And so she writes it down. So what does this mean? Well, it means, they're secretly still in love with them. So you just, you're so vain.
Well, English is so hard because of our slang.
Absolutely.
We use so much slang,
and
it's hard to catch on to.
And all that. It is hard.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like antics, I don't know if you knew what an ant was, you'd be like, why is this? Like, it is a weird word.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, and that's, I struggle because I also said I use a lot of old-timey country.
Right.
Sayings.
Oh, they definitely wouldn't know that.
Well, and that is the challenge because they have no flipping clue, especially on the soccer end, because soccer is one of the hardest sports to call. Because soccer is it's as many people on as a football game, 11 on each side, but it's the speed of volleyball, which is hyper fast. Or you can be really slow. And so depending on which way I'm going, how many games I'm into my week and that kind of thing depends on which style of broadcast I bring. And when I'm slower, I end up with a lot of these weird, and they're ones that even don't make sense. And not just the needle in the haystack, but slicker than a pig in a pile of mud, or and you just work them all across. And some of those, you'll get messages from these foreign parents like, what do you mean by this? I did not call your child a pig, I promise.
Yeah.
Oh, fair. Yeah, they're like, what is happening?
Yeah. So I have to be really careful with some of those things because of the international.
Or use them even more.
Or, and at this point, I'm almost 20 years into my broadcasting career on the Eastern Plains of Colorado. I am who I am.
Right.
I'm not going to change who I am.
Right.
And people love, for the most part, that you're never going to make somebody happy. You're going to upset everybody. But I always do find it funny when I have to explain something to a foreign parent or a foreign athlete, because I don't even think it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So there's a guy I work with who's Hispanic. He's legal now. He went through all that. But his English is really, it's good. But sometimes you'll say something, he'll stare at you. And one day we're done with another drive we had.
I know this look.
I said, the dude's cocky. And he goes, what? I go, he's cocky. Say again? I go, cocky. And then he's like, what is this cocky? What's that mean? I go, okay, first of all, the first 4 letters is not what it means. Okay,
right,
that's not where we're going. Okay, I don't know this guy on an intimate level. Let's just stop there. But the look on his face when I said it, he's just like...
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, you take these words and then you put different endings on them and they mean something totally different.
Yeah,
The
English language is crazy, man.
Yeah, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fucking Americans. We're the worst.
English is hard. This story is true. I'm just going to say it right now. This story is true because it is hard.
Well, I mean, the title is true.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, to teach someone, because every other country on the planet speaks like 4 or 5 languages.
Absolutely.
Americans, we speak the one. And if we have to even try and learn a second one, we get super irritated by it,
And it's really a challenge when you're talking fast in the middle of a game. I mean, I've had several Freudian slips of, Vin Scully always used to tell the story during baseball. He would try to work in hot shot, hit, foul. Because if you say that multiple times, shit's going to come out.
Yeah.
And so we always try to work that one in our broadcasts and coming in. And shot clock is another really tough one. And that's not even to include the weird names. I mean, There's been a dick, multiple dicks actually, that I mean, do you have any idea how hard it is to call a basketball game when Dick's the point guard?
Yeah.
Or DeCock's the pitcher?
I love it. Bend over.
Yeah. The unfortunate last name of a girl whose last name is Nipple. 32 innuendos in that broadcast, by the way, and I didn't laugh once.
I would have. She's used to it by now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a kid in my high school from Fort Morgan when I was in school. His last name was Gay, and I always thought, man, that's got to be tough to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the '90s, we were much more brutal. You know what I mean? So God bless him. So So you think that's one that?
I do. I feel like it's true, just because. I mean, I agree. English is hard.
I have a front runner right now.
Okay.
So.
All right.
I do got to say before we get going. Welcome to the Bullhucker podcast. I'm going to cut that out. We didn't describe this at all. We just got to bullshitting with you. This podcast, by the way, if you've watched this far, Ben's going to tell us 3 stories about his life. The trick is only 2 of these stories are true. One's either made up, halfway made up, or a borrowed story. Sorry, I should have brought that up earlier. Maybe I'll have to cut that in later.
Maybe.
But if you're confused with what we're doing, that's what it is. I'm sorry. That's on me. So I'm a bad host.
I explained 2 truths and a lie at the beginning.
That's true. Okay,
it's the same concept.
I just want.
That's why you didn't do it.
That's exactly right. But if you've enjoyed it so far here on YouTube, if you like what you see on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, there's a little red dot. That's our subscribe button. Go and hit that because it's a
little click for you and a big click for us.
Boom. We really love it. And no matter what you are listening to this on, if you're listening to this on any platform, make sure you please leave a rating and review. Share it also, right?
Yeah.
That's all it takes is subscribing. Follow the podcast. It's all free content. All
exactly.
right?
That's the least you can do.
It's the least you can do. So I'll whore out this a little bit later. But yeah, I realized halfway through, because we usually ask you, Ben, if the story that's a Bullhucker is a borrowed story, halfway made up, or all the way made up.
It's halfway made up.
Okay, so now we know. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. I got into what you were talking about right away, so I didn't. You threw me off.
We had that Pueblo link.
Yeah.
You dove right into it.
Yeah, damn you for being so interesting, Ben. It's on you. So.
Be a little less boring. Come on.
Hey, people pay me to talk. You've got to be interesting because all I have is my voice.
That's fair.
So
2 weeks ago was Beltran, another radio guy. So obviously you guys you get the light air goes on, and you guys go on with it. So all right, we got 1 story left, Dencia.
Okay, bring it on home, Kentucky Fried Pigeon.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I don't recall if my brother told about this, but neither my brother or I are fans of birds.
He is not.
Yes.
No.
Actually, I do have a story about your brother with that.
Yes.
He tried to punch one time when we were in Mexico. And you're not a fan either.
No, and I don't. It has to be some sort of common trauma in our past. I don't go to therapy, so I can't. You know, I'm not going to dive into that. But there has to be some sort of common trauma as to why we don't like birds. Now, most people that I end up in a relationship with are well aware that I am not a fan of birds. My mom was not aware until we went to San Francisco after I graduated college, and she tried to get me to stand next to a pigeon on the beach.
No.
And that was a giant no. And my college girlfriend, because I wasn't sober, I probably didn't convey that, but she actually had pet birds that she had in my house, and that that was a no. So my first wife and I had a house, and she was well aware of the fact that I don't do birds.
Yeah.
And so I'm in my late 20s because my oldest was a child, and we had a real chimney in our house that we could actually put real wood. It wasn't just a gas fireplace or anything like that.
God, I think I know where this is going.
And so there were always birds in the chimney. Right, because protection. It makes sense when you separate yourself from that fact, and so we would hear them, and it weirded me out. As long as I don't have to deal with it, I'm fine. And all of a sudden you hear wham, and my ex-wife walks over and goes, "Well, there's a little bird in there. Let's help it."
Oh God.
Now, that's a giant no from me. Yeah. Before I can say, hey, let's have a little something prepared to help said bird, she opens up the flippin' front of the fireplace, the glass doors that covered the front of the fireplace, and reaches in and gets this baby bird that had fallen out of the
Does it have
nest.
feathers yet? How baby?
It's not like it's not like sticky.
Okay.
You know, it's growing its feathers. It's there. It can probably hop around.
Me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and I as an adult,
Like it wants you to chew up food in your mouth and give it to it.
Yeah, it's still at that stage. It's not quite flying yet.
Okay.
And so she pulls this out, and I head toward the kitchen. So I have to get up off of my recliner and go to the kitchen to get something to be able to care for this bird, something to put this bird in, because we've apparently decided we're going to care for this bird now.
You're a good husband.
Well, yeah.
I thought it was going to be like
It's the ex-wife. This might have been the divorce.
Blecha out, bitches.
Yeah.
It heads there, because as I'm headed, I have to get off my recliner and head toward the fireplace that said terrifying creature just was hauled out of. And down the chimney comes the remainder of the army of the pigeons. Just down the army and into our house. Now, probably because I'm terrified of birds, it probably was only like 5 or 6.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
But to me,
Felt like
it was
500.
100 birds. The closest thing at this time is the shovel to scoop the ashes out of your fireplace. And instinct kicks in. And I grab the shovel and start swinging this wildly around the
my
house,
God.
knocking knickknacks off the shelves,
God.
hitting the front of furniture, knocking things over as these birds fly right at my head.
What octave of scream did you have?
My oldest daughter says that she has never heard anyone scream that high.
We're talking like 12-year-old girls
yeah,
scream.
the bird didn't hit the window. You shattered it with your
I
voice.
shattered, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Swinging at the birds, and I managed to get into my daughter's bedroom, which is the closest room to where this is happening, because I can't do this.
right.
I cannot handle this. And it took more than 45 minutes and some of our neighbors to help get these birds hauled out of our house, because apparently this was just the decoy bird. I don't even know what happened to the damn bird that fell.
Right.
This was apparently just the decoy bird to set up the army of pigeons that was going to come in.
suckers.
So to show these pigeons, once they left, we went to Kentucky Fried Chicken and got a family bucket. And I sat on my front porch and said, "See, never again." And the birds never nested in our chimney ever
They
again.
never did it again.
Never nested in that chimney.
How messed
again.
up was your house?
It was pretty messed up. Yeah.
I never had a fireplace, so that's good.
You've
Yeah.
never? We had one in our house on, well, I mean, we have one now, but on our house on Nancy Street, we had a pigeon. And I would be in the kitchen and just hear, yeah, they are. Yeah.
We have pigeons in our tree in our backyard right now. The tree's dead. It needs to go. And that's just further fuel for me to now.
And they're dirty.
They're dirty. They poop all over
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
And that's why it's called Kentucky Fried Pigeon, because the only good pigeon or chicken or turkey, anything that can fly at me, is a dead one.
You'll eat it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Your brother had a story about a crow.
Yeah.
Or a,
He did. You're right.
Okay, well, here's the crazy thing. Cut to 6-7 months after his podcast comes out. I'm watching some documentary, and it says that crows can actually recognize a human face for up to a year. And I thought about Michael. The very first, I was going to reach out because I didn't have Michael's number. I was going to call Chelsea and be like, "You need to have your husband call me, because that bird, it was a vendetta."
Really?
Yeah, they can recognize a human face forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're super
They're smart.
So it was your personality, Michael. It was you. That's what the bird hated. So just a little fun fact there.
My wife hit a pheasant on the way home from school this past fall, and she also does not do birds. So I don't know. My daughter probably has the Snapchat video of us attempting to fish the pheasant out of the front of her, because it went all the way through and into her
Oh,
grill.
God.
Right.
It was not a good
So
situation.
it goes like birds, snakes, spiders, but birds are at the top.
I can handle snakes. I can handle insects. Birds and needles are the two things I don't handle. There's a
Yeah.
reason I don't have any tattoos. I
Me
don't
too.
do birds and needles.
Me too. Fear.
Yeah.
You know Adam Vokey. You know Adam.
I know Adam.
He's the size of an offensive lineman for any NFL team. Scared of squirrels. And Adam's not scared of a lot of things. Adam's not scared of heights. He's not scared of speed. He's not scared of squirrels.
Would he kill you if he knew you were telling us this?
We talked about it on the podcast. When he told me about it, like, what the hell are you scared of squirrels? You know what I mean? Like if a squirrel comes like on the ground around Adam, he gets real nervous. Like he gets awkward. Like like a rape's gonna happen or something. He gets all.
He gets his whistle out.
Yeah.
Could you say he goes nuts? Yeah.
Oh, I see what you did there.
I see what you did there. But
I had to get a dad joke in.
Yeah, you did. You are your brothers.
Ben, you did not disappoint. Those are great stories.
Those are great.
Do you have one in mind?
I think so.
I think I do too.
Yeah.
I think so. I think I caught you on something, but we'll see.
Okay.
I say it all the time, and then I fail miserably at this. You know.
We both messed up last time.
You know what's funny? Actually, Dencia, for the past 2 years, is the only person who's had a positive record on this of guessing the Bullhucker. Barely.
Not last time.
Yeah, last year you did.
No, last time I did it.
Last year. Adam has been horrible the past 2 years. So far, Adam's on fire this year.
Really?
Dude, can't miss, man.
Rude, Adam. Give it back. Yeah,
dude. I don't know what he did or sold his soul or whatnot, but so we're gonna go ahead and pick right now.
Okay.
We're gonna have time. You gotta get you out of here, Dents. So Ben, when we pick to see who has to go first, we rock paper scissors.
Okay.
So there's 2 ways to do it. Some people do rock paper boom, or rock paper scissors shoot.
I'm always 3 and end. So you're 1, 2, 3.
Shoot.
That's the right way. Good
rock,
job.
Rock, paper, scissors, and
Good
then shoot.
job.
That's
wrong.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. That's the right way.
That's wrong,
Good
Ben,
job.
but that's okay. That's the 4 pumper and 3 pumper. Okay, that's what that's about. So,
Yeah.
I'll say, we're doing 4. Ready?
I have not won in a hot minute. Yay.
Breaks my heart. So,
I'm
okay.
so curious to see what you're going to say. Let's hear it.
So 3 great stories. A drunken boxing soiree, Kentucky Fried Pigeon, and English is hard. Now I'm going to say a drunken boxing soiree is the true story. I think that's one of the true ones. I just do it maybe because I want it to be true, because it's a Pueblo story. English is hard. I also believe that is a true story just because all the details you put into it. I think that's it's something you love. It's something you're passionate about, and you can always tell on this podcast. This is probably it. So I'm going to be called full of shit here in a second. But
I know everything. Blah blah blah.
yeah, I'm so smart. But usually you can tell when someone's passionate about something, and even if it is a half true, you can tell you're passionate about that. Right. That's very cool. I respect that very much. Kentucky Fried Pigeon I'm going to pick for 2 reasons. Not a lot of details, the other 2. And you didn't make a lot of eye contact to that one. I've been watching that more and more. The other 2 stories, I noticed you kept bouncing back and forth between me and Dency on the eye contact. This one, you looked down quite a bit.
You were like this.
And maybe it's just getting tired of that Aquafina starting to wear on me. But that's what I'm going to go with. Kentucky Fried Pigeon, Miss Kudrin.
Okay. Well, I actually think, and I said this when we saw it, English is hard. I think it's true just because I agree. A drunken boxing. Okay, and I think that one is true too because of the story that you told about the fire with the grill and you're like it's still there and some good details. There was a couple things in the beginning. I was like, maybe that one. But I'm going to have to go with Kentucky Fried Pigeon as well. And only because I think if I know Michael and you're his brother, if that would have been Michael Blecha, I think probably would have shit himself.
Blecha out, bitches.
Yes, exactly. So I think there would have been so much more to that many birds attacking you that because I know I've seen Michael with birds and he's definitely afraid.
Yeah.
So if you're the same as your brother, no, I don't know if you'd be here to tell the story.
Probably not.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Kentucky Fried Pigeon as well.
Before you flip that over, we're going to stop for a quick second. We're going to watch a video right now. So what we're watching is, hold on, what's beeping at me? Oh, just that one.
Carbon monoxide.
Yeah. So we're all going to die. We're going to watch a small video. What we do is watch a video of one of the vendors here at the Brush Emporium.
Nice.
So yeah, check out the video. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Megan Orcutt, and I'm the owner of Something Magical. We make things such as hand-stitched journals, hand-poured candles with essential oils and fresh herbs. We also have pendulums and other handcrafted items. You can find us here at the Brush Emporium, 210 Clayton Street, or on Facebook. Just search up Something Magical, and there's a link to our website.
I love it.
All right, so we're back. So I do want to say, before you turn that over,
Okay.
I do want to say thanks for watching that video, and please make sure you support the Brush Emporium down here.
They've got cool things.
They got a lot of cool stuff upstairs. Have you had a chance to walk around yet?
Yes, I did.
Try the pizza.
Oh,
too.
of course. You can never go wrong with pizza.
Nope, ever.
That's the old saying I've heard. Pizza's like sex. It's when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's still pretty good, right?
Yeah.
So,
I've never heard it, but it's good. That's funny.
Not you have.
Yeah.
But please make sure you support them. They do so much good for this town. There's 4 people who love the city of Brush, who have opened this business to give small town people or small business people a place to sell their goods and sell their wares. They also support a certain podcast. So if you enjoy this podcast, if you enjoy the free content you get, please subscribe, follow, share it if you want to.
Come
That'd
get a
be
pizza.
awesome. Come get a pizza. Come support these people that support us. It would be much appreciated. So, having said that, Dencia, I think we're going to double team
We are.
Mr. Blecha here. What's up?
We're both going to fuck up or be
Kentucky
winners.
Fried Pigeon. Let's see it, brother.
You guys are both correct.
Hey! Woo!
Now,
What part of that is not true?
the number of birds, it was 1 bird, but when the bird hit the glass, when it fell down, I screamed
hit the glass.
like a little girl,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Blecha out. Gone.
Blecha out, bitches.
I do not know. I don't do birds, but yeah, if that, I would know my fear of birds if that
Yeah.
many pigeons, an army of pigeons came flying down
That's
the
what I'm
chimney.
saying. You would have, like, just all of that many birds, you would have died.
No
That
way.
would have been
Yeah.
your death.
Yeah.
So English is hard is a true story.
Yes, and it really is. It's kind of an ongoing thing. It was hard to put that one together into one story, but the yogurt,
Yeah.
is one that my kids always love hearing because it is relatable, and it ties into the English language and the different languages of hip hop and that kind of thing that come through.
And you
Love it.
did have a lot of passion in that. You can tell it's
Yeah.
something that you love
I would
very
agree.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. And a drunken boxing story. Thank you, Jesus. That was a true
Yes.
story.
Literally Jesus.
There,
yeah.
there is not a Pueblo story I tell that is a lie.
Yeah.
And
You don't have to.
nobody believes me half
Yeah.
the time. They're like, "There's no way," and I'm like, "No, it's all of Pueblo is 100%. What I remember is 100% true."
I moved there in 96, moved out in 2002. And maybe I'm biased because I did have such a great time there. But it was a magical time in Pueblo. It was crazy. They had the most bars per capita of anywhere in the nation. I don't know anymore, but they did.
And
Yeah.
murders.
And well, I don't think they have murders, but the crime rate's out of
Yeah,
control.
definitely.
Your car will get stolen and broken into. Mine did like 4 or 5 times. I
Yeah.
got to the point I was like, nah, shit.
Don't get a nice car.
I just didn't leave
Yeah.
anything in it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they stole my CDs, and I'm like, why wouldn't they want my Boys to Men? They threw it away on the road, you bastards. Anyway, it was a great time, man. I
Yes.
just had fun there. So.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Ben, I love when guys like you come on. I'm on some
I
kind
know.
of hot streak with these
I
guests.
know these great storytellers.
Yeah, we've had great storytellers. And, obviously, being on the radio, this is something that's second nature to you, and you can tell
Definitely.
you were.
Yes.
It was great. It was a lot of fun, man. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
this.
It was
I did
fun.
too.
And it was a pleasure formally
Absolutely.
meeting you.
Finally
Here we
meeting.
go.
Yes.
Yes, finally.
That blows my mind. I didn't even think to ask you if you two had met. I just assumed you guys knew each other.
No.
Well, it's because our lives are so busy, and
Yes.
we're here, there, and everywhere. And we were only given 5 weeks for my brother's wedding to get ready to be in the wedding party.
Right.
Yeah,
so-
super fast.
I'll be damned. But also, you guys are kind of drunks. So, I mean,
Yeah, right. Even if we did meet, we wouldn't know.
I
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
people
Yeah.
all the time. I used to be such a huge drinker. I met people for the first time 3 or 4 times.
Absolutely.
You know?
Well, and the other problem I have is I don't remember names well.
Yeah.
Shockingly, as a play-by-play guy,
Right.
I know you and I have your name, but I always have a sheet of paper or an iPad in front of me that has your name phonetically spelled next to the number or however I'm identifying you.
You have to.
So
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have several conversations weekly in the grocery store. We'll walk away. My wife's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "I don't know. You probably know better than I do."
Right.
I do that all the time, too.
But spelling it phonetically is so smart. I had a DJ one time. We'll get going, but it was the Van Greshapi
Oh,
family.
God.
And what a wonderful family. What a wonderful time. This DJing that one was one of my favorites.
Yes.
A lot of cool stuff. It was a German wedding I've never done before. Anyway, when they told me Van Greshapi, I slaughtered the shit out of it. So I had to write it down phonetically because I'm like, I will fuck your name up if you let me read it like that. So
I give nicknames to so many people that I don't even really know what their real names are because I can't say them.
Sport champ.
Hey, sweetie. I got nothing.
That's how you know she's a drinker. So anyway, we're going to get out of here. Ben, thank you so much for coming down.
Did
you have
fun?
I had a blast.
Good.
I
Awesome.
enjoyed it.
Awesome. Well, this is 121, so I'll be out here in a couple of weeks.
Go.
And like I said, we're on a hell of a streak right now
you
with
are.
storytellers. It's been really fun, and you've
Don't fuck it up.
definitely. I'm trying not to. But anyway, I'm Moose Lundstrom.
And I'm Detsy Kudrin.
Ben Blecha. Next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
She goes.